Hey guys, it's Zach Keaton here. Today I'm going to be reviewing March's Wonder album for extreme metal, being Vltimas' Something Evil Marches In. This album, Vltimas, is something of a supergroup, having David Vincent of Morbid Angel fame, and former guitarist for Mayhem and drummer for Cryptocracy, whose names I do not remember, which I probably should have remembered. Now, this is only my second review, and I was a little interested when it came to reviewing this album, because I knew, going into listening to the album, that a lot of people quite liked it. They thought it was a very good album. And on my first time listening to the album, I did not think that. I thought it was a very poor album. And I thought, here I go on my second review, giving everybody's favorite album a 2 out of 5 or something. But I can say that over the course of a few more listens, the album has definitely grown on me. So let's talk about what I like about the album. First of all, the playing. The playing is very precise. You can tell that you have 3 musicians here who are at the top of their game. Drums are incredible, some of the best drums I've heard in extreme metal this year. Guitar playing is very good, although the guitar playing isn't as memorable as it could be. I'm going to get into that a little bit more. Vocals, David Vincent is a great vocalist. He kind of does maybe not so much of your traditional death metal vocals. They're a little more black metal inspired, as Vltimas is a black and death metal band. But they still definitely prove why he is who he is in death metal. Now, the songs have a lot of technicality to them, constantly changing riffs. I think, I would say that the guitarist for this had kind of been holding out on Mayhem, because I think there are more individual riffs in this song than there are in the Mayhem discography. So that's interesting, and that's not always a great thing. I personally do like it when a band holds on to a riff a little longer so you can get into it, you can really recognize the riff for what it is. Whereas Vltimas is constantly changing their riffs to subtle variations of each other, slightly different tempo, and it's almost too much. I kind of wish they would, pick a riff and stay with it for a little bit longer. Because what it is the songs, when you look at the songs have different composition between each song. They're different songs, but they all you don't end up remembering any of the songs any differently, because they're all made up of so many smaller parts, and you're constantly having to change from part to part. And on top of that, I didn't really notice, everything kind of stayed within the same subdued tone. Like there wasn't, any super high pitch or low pitch or any just different sounds even to really break up the music. There wasn't enough variation in it for me, is what I'd say. But all of this falls apart. All this argument against it falls apart when you go from listening to the album to review it to listening to the album passively or just to enjoy it. Because I think when you listen to this album just to enjoy it, with no other focus than to listen to the album and just have a good time, this album really changes. This is a great album for that. I think, most of those spots I was talking about where I was negative towards the album fall apart, and when you're just listening to it, for fun, you don't even notice them. And I'm not going to say they don't matter. They do matter, and they're going to affect the album's score. But, I don't know, it's just kind of a fun death metal release that, maybe isn't actually as interesting as it wants you to be once you, kind of lift off the covers, lift up, unwrap it. They don't actually have kind of the wow factor that you think they would when you're just listening to them passively. There are faults that you can find when you're looking for them. But if you're just looking for something, I don't know, to work out to, or I think especially working out would be great with this album. I think this is a good album to, work out or do something like that. But as, a complex, as a technical death metal album, I can't really say I loved it. So I think we're going to stick with the out of 10 scoring. And my scoring out of 10 for Vltimas-Something Evil Marches In is going to be a 6. A good album, has catchy parts, kind of interesting to listen to, just given the members that are in it and how they bring their own sound to it. But I think, once you really dive into the album, once you really break it apart, it falls apart. So, thank you. Definitely still listen to this album. It's a good album. But it's not anywhere near the top of my 2019 albums yet. Also, speaking of exciting albums that are coming out in a few days, there's one in particular that I'm looking forward to. 5th of April, Vltimas-Something's new album is coming out. And I did a review on Vltimas-Something's previous album, Ruinen, in anticipation for that new album. So go check that out. Alright, see you later. It's been Zach Keaton. Well, it still is Zach Keaton, that hasn't changed. And I will see you guys later. Be yourself.